Thoughts shape our reality. Every decision that we make, from what we eat for breakfast to how we pursue our biggest goals in life, starts with a thought. But what happens when our thoughts hold us back? Why, for instance, do we sometimes think about being productive and end up doing nothing? More importantly, how can we change unhelpful thought patterns and in so doing, gain more control of our lives? Well, today I'm going to lead you through one way of mastering your thoughts. And if that sounds helpful, please remember to subscribe. Now, one of the best ways to gain mastery over your thoughts is with meditation. For centuries, meditation has been used in spiritual traditions such as Buddhism, as well as in psychology, to help transform the mind. Modern neuroscience now confirms what ancient practitioners have always understood, that meditation physically rewires the brain, allowing us to shift from negative, limiting thoughts to constructive, action-oriented ones. And as a meditation teacher myself, I've helped many people to change their thoughts and in so doing to reclaim their lives using meditation. Now today, we're going to explore how thought processes work, why they sometimes derail us, and how meditation serves as the key to lasting change. And to start, what exactly are thoughts anyway? At the most fundamental level, thoughts are patterns of electrical and chemical activity in the brain. They emerge from neurons firing in response to sensory input, to memories, and to emotions. The brain organizes this activity into recognizable forms, such as words, images, and feelings that shape our perception of reality. And thoughts are not just passive, they influence our behavior by triggering neural pathways that can either encourage or inhibit action. This is why some thoughts lead to immediate action, while others keep us stuck in loops of self-doubt and avoidance. To illustrate this, let's walk through an example, the simple example of deciding to make a cup of tea. Now, when deciding to make a cup of tea, first of all, a craving for tea arises in the mind. Maybe from habit, maybe from memory, or maybe just from the feeling of being thirsty. The brain's decision-making center, the prefrontal cortex, evaluates this idea and retrieves the steps needed. Boil the water, grab a tea bag, pour the water in, wait, and then drink. The brain then sends signals to the body, activating the motor cortex, which gets our muscles moving. And so you stand up, you walk to the kitchen, you start making your cup of tea. Finally, the tea is made, and you drink, and that reinforces the thought-action loop. The next time you crave tea, the process happens even more smoothly and quickly because your brain has strengthened the connection between the thought and the action. That is how productive behaviors form. The brain encodes repeated actions into neural circuits, making them automatic over time. Okay. But then, why does it sometimes go wrong? So let's look at a thought process that does not lead to action. Let's imagine that someone wants to be productive, but instead they spend all day lounging around, accomplishing nothing. This person thinks, I should get some work done today. I need to be productive. But instead of triggering an action plan like we saw with the cup of tea, the brain fires conflicting thoughts. For instance, I'm too tired to be productive, I don't know where to start, or, well, I won't do it perfectly anyway, so what's the point? Now, the limbic system, this is the system that governs emotional responses in the brain. This favors immediate pleasure over effort. Since work requires energy and focus, the brain resists, opting instead for passive activities like scrolling through social media or watching TV. And just like making tea strengthens an action pathway, avoiding work also strengthens the habit of inaction. The brain learns that thinking about productivity leads to discomfort, and so it starts shutting down. Before we get motivated, before we start any action, the brain is shutting things down. That is why procrastination and laziness are not personality flaws. If you think you're procrastinating, you think you're lazy, it's not a personality flaw. It is a learned neurological pattern, and like all patterns, it can be changed. So, we've now seen how our thoughts shape every part of our lives, our actions, our emotions, and our decisions. If we don't understand how to influence our thoughts, we can fall into the trap of being unproductive and simply not living the life that we really want to live. To give you an example, I once worked with a client who really wanted to meditate every single day because they understood the benefits, but they kept thinking, I don't have the time to meditate. I guided them to shift their mindset to the thought, taking time to meditate will give me clarity to manage everything else better. It was a small change in their thought process, but it shifted them to start prioritizing their well-being, increasing their focus, and reducing their stress. So as you can see, by understanding how our thoughts work, we can consciously change them. And this, in turn, will lead to better emotional regulation, to better focus, to more productivity, to healthier habits, and so on. To break out of the unhelpful cycles of thoughts, the brain must rewire itself to favor action instead of avoidance. Now, to do that, this is what needs to happen. First, we need to interrupt our negative thought loops. So instead of thinking, I don't feel like doing anything today, we shift it to, well, I'll just start with 5 minutes, something small and simple. We also need to build neural pathways. So the more we push through any resistance, the stronger the action pathway becomes. And over time, effort becomes easier. We also need to strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the logical part of the brain, which must be trained to override emotional resistance. And we can do that through mindfulness and intentional focus. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do that in just a sec. And we need to shift our identity, which is huge. So for instance, if you've adopted the self-belief, I'm lazy, you need to challenge that and change it to be something more like I'm productive. And that will rewire you on the deepest level. That sounds like a lot, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do it with meditation. So meditation is one of the most effective ways to facilitate changes of thought because it trains the brain to observe thoughts without reacting. And once we observe those thoughts, we can then start to force changes. So, as I mentioned, that is a lot of information, but I'm now going to give you a crystal clear example of how you can change thoughts using that example of somebody wanting to be productive. So here is how you become productive by changing your thoughts. First, you need to cultivate awareness. Begin by setting aside a few quiet minutes each day. Just sit comfortably and simply observe your thoughts without judgment. Notice any unproductive or self-sabotaging thoughts as they arise and simply acknowledge them. Just say, for example, this is a thought or feeling of procrastination, this is self-doubt, and then let it pass. So just label and then let it pass. And that act of mindful observation is the first step to breaking the automatic cycle of negative thinking. So just start by being aware of thoughts and labeling them. Step number 2. Reset with your breath. So once you've observed your thoughts, shift your focus to your breathing. Take slow, deliberate inhales and exhales, and let each inhale and exhale release tension and release any lingering resistance. It's a simple breathing exercise that will keep your body and mind calm, balancing your emotions to allow you to prepare the way for being more active and more productive. Step 3, set a very clear positive intention. So you're now calm. You've been doing your breathing meditation, so you're calm. In that calm state, decide on a positive intention that you're going to do over the next few minutes and mentally affirm it. So for instance, say to yourself, I'm going to start now. I'm ready to take just a small step forward. So you're setting an intention, and that intention acts as a mental command that signals your brain that, okay, it's time to stop being inactive. It's time to get productive. Then, step 4, visualize the action that you're going to do. So you've centered your mind and you've set a clear intention that now you're going to start being productive. Spend a few minutes just visualizing the productive action that you want to take. Picture yourself doing whatever it is that you want to do, like making a phone call, writing a few lines, going through your emails, whatever it might be. Imagine the details of doing that thing, and also imagine the satisfaction that you will feel from having done it. That visualization will strengthen the connection between your thoughts and your desired action, which will make the behavior happen naturally. Step 5, transition into small thoughts. So you've done your breathing, you've relaxed, you've set your intention, you've visualized doing a step. Now open your eyes and do one micro, tiny step towards your goal. So this might be as simple as just like writing a to-do list, or like I say, checking your email, something small. And the key is to make it small. This is your first movement in the direction of productivity. Make it as small and as comfortable as you can. And then once you've done a productive action, reflect and reinforce it. So take a moment to reflect on what you've done and to be aware of the fact that you've progressed. Recognize that even a small step will be significant. This brief moment of reflection helps to solidify the positive experience in your mind, which will gradually rewire your neural pathways to favor action instead of avoidance. Now, with regular practice, you'll find that your brain becomes more attuned to productive behavior. And so that is the entire process. I'm going to go through it one more time. So you need to start by just clearing your mind, through breathing meditation, just completely clear your mind. Then start to label, as we do in Vipassana, label any negative thoughts, any thoughts that are working against what you want to do. You're just going to label it by saying, okay, this is a thought of like self-doubt, or this is a thought of hesitancy, or whatever it might be. Then you're going to tell your brain, okay, we are now switching into the state of actually doing this thing. Visualize doing it. Start in very small steps, whatever it is you want to do, start in very small steps. And then once you've done a small step, congratulate yourself for doing the small step. And that is how you tackle and change problematic thought processes, which is huge because your thought processes control your life. By understanding the thought processes and by systematically changing them, you take back control. And that is how to change thought processes with meditation. If that sounds good, and if you would like to get started, then why not come and join me in a private meditation lesson on thedailymeditation.com. Together, we'll change your thought processes so that you can reclaim control over your life. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.